Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Lancaster. It's great to come into a sanctuary with beautiful music playing and the wonderful chatter of a congregation gathering on a Sunday morning. Welcome to all of you here this morning. We're nice and full this morning, so you may have folks coming and sitting next to you. We've got some room still in the back, but it's great to see a nice full church on this beautiful sunny Sunday morning. I want to welcome Abigail's Garden. Thank you so much for being here with us. We look forward to all of the music, and you guys are going to get to sing to a couple of tunes that they're going to play, and at the end of the service there'll be an extended postlude, so feel free to hang around and listen to the music or go to coffee hour, whatever works for you this morning. Our call to worship this morning is not the one that I just picked up.
Bulletin.
There we go. How about this? Words from the Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh. Water flows from high in the mountains. Water runs deep in the earth. Miraculously, water comes to us and sustains all life. Water and sun green these plants. When the rain of compassion falls, even a desert becomes an immense green ocean. Let us worship together. I invite you to find one of the gray hymnals near you. We're going to turn to number 163 and stand together and sing For the Earth Forever Turning. Number 163, please rise as you are able.
Are we going to do the intro? Okay. Do you want to give us a...
Please remain standing for the lighting of our chalice. In Unitarian Universalism, the flaming chalice is our most central symbol. We light it at each of our services. We light it at weddings and at memorial services and at child dedications. For us, it is a flame of truth and knowledge. It is a beacon of hope and peace and love. It guides what we do, and it inspires us to move on and do more. We light our chalice this morning with words from Leslie Pole Kausaba. Flame of fire, spark of the universe, that warmed our ancestral hearth, agent of life and death, symbol of truth and freedom, we strive to understand ourselves and our earthly home. Please be seated. Again, welcome to church this morning. Back in the fall, the UUA was promoting a climate justice revival, and we had a few things going on in the fall, so we decided not to do it then, and so this is it now. This is our participation in that denomination-wide effort. So this morning, we're thinking about our earth and how to care for it. We're thinking about how to be creative and united and optimistic and hopeful, even when things sometimes seem a little bit grim. So that's the ride we're on today. So we've got beautiful music. We'll be thinking about the earth and participating in that UUA Climate Justice Revival. There'll be some tables from organizations downstairs at coffee hour so you can get some more information or talk to folks who are really actively doing this work in a variety of ways. Want to welcome everyone here. It doesn't matter if you've been coming to this place for the last 30 years or if today is your very first day with us. We are glad that you are here. This is a welcome, warm-hearted, open congregation. We are far from perfect, but we are human and we are interested in doing our very best in the world. So I hope you find this hour meaningful and that you find this a place that you can return to over and over again, that you can find connections here and make friends here and deepen your own spiritual life here. Welcome to church this morning.
So please join with me in responsive reading 546. That will be in the back of your gray hymnal. I'll give you a moment to find it. I will be reading the text in the regular print, and you could respond with the text in italics. Number 546. Through dreary, sodden days, the fields sponged up the graying skies.
And now the sun lies soft as earth again, as if the earth had just begun.
And blossoms on the veins designed in spring come out to sing again.
And everywhere the ripening pushes falling leaves apart to free the heart for fresh.
As through the seasons of our years,
Becoming often wastes the nourishment of tears.
thank you.
Our second reading this morning is a poem by David Budbill, the title of which is The First Green of Spring. Out walking in the swamp, picking cowslip, marsh marigold, this sweet first green of spring. Now sautéed in a pan, melting into a deeper green than they ever were alive, this green, this life, harbinger of things to come. Now we sit at the table munching on this message from the dawn, which says we and the world are alive again today, and this is the world's birthday. And even though we know we are growing old, we are dying, we will never be young again, we also know we're still right here, now, today. And oh my, don't these greens taste delicious. There's an invasion going on at your grocery store. Have you noticed? The produce department, the dairy department, the meat department, and even the bakery are being invaded by increasingly processed foods. Little zucchinis are forced to sit squeezed together on styrofoam trays wrapped in shrink wrap. Yogurt must endure smaller and smaller containers with more and more topping add-ons attached. Fresh meat has to make way for pre-breaded cuts and fillets already marinating in heaven knows what. Even cupcakes must be so protected by a hard plastic case that they would survive a week-long trek in the Himalayas. And don't get me started about putting salad greens in heavy-duty plastic tubs. There is an invasion going on at your grocery store, I am telling you. And it's just one more sign of how far out of whack our culture has gotten when it comes to its relationship with the earth. Now, I know many of you are thinking to yourselves about how you buy fresh produce at farmers' markets and make sure your eggs come from free-range chickens. These are all very good things. But before you get too self-righteous, ask yourself if you know where the food served in your favorite restaurants is coming from. And think for a minute about the ways your hurried lifestyle can force you to compromise your ideals for convenience. Think for a moment about the Starbucks cup you threw away yesterday. Think about the takeout food containers that you ordered that came in styrofoam. And lest you think that I think I have this all figured out, think again. I suffer from the same temptations, give myself the same excuses, feel the same sense of futility, and take the same self-righteous pride in my small choices. None of us lacks for information. We know exactly what we're doing. All of us knows ways that we could act better, and yet here we are, both personally and culturally responsible for the destruction of the earth. The sermon's only got to get better from here. Now, every culture, every religion has its own creation myth. They're fun to look up because sometimes they're similar and sometimes they're very, very different. The one most of us are familiar with comes from the Jewish tradition. I'll read a little bit to you from Genesis. God said, "Let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over the wild animals of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So God created humankind in God's image. And God planted a garden in Eden in the east, and there God put the man and the woman who had been formed. Out of the ground God made to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, and the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We all know how this story turns out. Once Adam and Eve ate of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, they no longer belonged in the garden. The myth tells us their eyes were opened and they saw they were naked. This loss of innocence is what happens to each of us as we move from infancy into childhood and from childhood into adulthood. We realize we cannot stay in the safety and security of our families anymore. We realize a whole world exists outside the walls of our homes, a world full of beauty and ugliness. We too are expelled by our knowledge of good and evil, and we accept this. But what is this talk of dominion? Does God really want us to subjugate the earth and to dominate it? I don't think so. Sadly, dominion is the very message Western culture has taken from this creation myth. Both explicitly and implicitly, most humans believe that they have the right to do with the earth and its creatures as they wish. And I would argue, human dominion over the earth is worse now than it has ever been. Even worse than during the Industrial Revolution, worse than the era of open-pit mining, worse than the lumber booms that deforested millions of acres. The reason our dominion over the earth is worse now is because hyper-consumerism is driving a shopping craze like the earth has never seen before. And shopping requires products to buy. Our hunger for more and more means that the earth doesn't stand a chance. Our desire for convenience means everything in our fragile ecosystem loses. I don't know about you, but one of the thoughts that goes through my mind each time I enter a Target store or a Walmart is that I know every single thing in that store will one day wind up in the garbage. The same is true for every item in every shopping mall. I know every article of clothing, every plastic toy, every shoe, every vacuum cleaner, every shower curtain is destined for a landfill or an incinerator. Every single thing at Home Goods or REI will wind up as garbage one day. As you might imagine, this makes me a very selective shopper. In order to see the true cost of something I buy, I must factor in the environmental toll it takes to make it and to dispose of it after I no longer need or want it. The trouble with the myth of recycling is it allows us to justify our purchases more easily. Other than maybe cardboard and metal, almost nothing is actually recycled, regardless of the label that is slapped on it. Now, we liberals, we like to recycle, and this is a little hard to hear, but very little actually gets turned into something else. I routinely see sanitation workers dumping Harrisburg garbage cans and recycling bins into the same truck on their morning routes. Yet, we citizens dutifully sort the two each week in some desperate attempt to atone for our consumption. Oftentimes, we're simply forced into buying packaging we would never choose just to get the objects we need. Whether we recycle something or not, it will wind up in the garbage sooner or later. Shopping is a dangerous business. The hardest thing in the world for people of relative privilege to reconcile is the comfort of their lifestyle and the knowledge of where that comfort comes from. There's no denying most of us live in a comfortable place with stately old houses and tree-lined streets, colorful gardens, and nearby parks, ponds, and wetlands. Lancaster is one of the most comfortable places to live on earth. You all have a beautiful city, and I would not want to change that one bit. What I would want to change is the notion that our comfort doesn't come with its own heavy price tag. A heavy environmental price tag and an even heavier psychic one. Because I really don't think the problem is the stuff. I think the problem is the stuff in our heads. The truth is, Lancaster exists because a place like Reading exists. Pennsylvania exists because a place like Mississippi exists. The United States exists because a place like Nigeria exists. A cheap banana from Honduras is not just a banana. It is proof of Central American poverty. An inexpensive shirt made in Pakistan is not just a shirt. It is proof of a harsh government. A new computer from the Apple Store is not just a new computer. It has undeniable connections to Chinese mines, Chinese factories, and cheap Chinese labor. Everything we own comes from someplace else through someone else's hands. Everything we touch connects us to other humans, whether we like it or not. Every dollar we spend reflects our values. Interconnectedness is not just about nature being interrelated. It is about us being one with everything around us, natural and manufactured. One with everything in ways that please us and disturb us. Human ethics allow us to recognize both good and evil, back to that tree, and to act accordingly. I'm not surprised that Adam and Eve hungered for more than their easy surroundings in the Garden of Eden. I'm not surprised the tree of the knowledge of good and evil called to them, beckoned to them. I'm not surprised that once their eyes were opened, they could no longer stay where they were. For Adam and Eve are you and me, essentially. What they did not realize when they ate the fruit, however, is that new knowledge would drive them out of their fantasy world. The question is, will new knowledge drive us out of our fantasies as well? The long-term solutions to the Earth's environmental crises are not easy, cheap, or convenient. They will not come about overnight and not without struggle, sacrifice, and misery. But the good news is there are plentiful ways to subvert the hyper-consumer world we live in. And this is my challenge to you. There are lots of ways to be less typically American. You and I can be guerrilla warriors for the earth. There are immediate ways to improve our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. But all the things we can do will require us to curb both our appetites and our hectic schedules. All will require us to slow down, doing more with less. Subverting our hyper-consumer culture will require you and me to shop for food that's not encased in plastic if we can. It will require us to cook more meals at home. It will require us to wear the clothes we already have in our closets. It will require us to make do longer with the car we drive, the computer we use, and the ugly refrigerator that still runs. It will require us to stay closer to home. It will require us to waste less and compost more. It will require us to get down on our knees and dig in the soil and plant seeds. It will require us to delight in the food that grows from those seeds and to share our bounty with others. It will require us to live within our means and to know the true value of things. It will require of us a tenacity and a thrift that will make us smile with pride. One of the sayings I grew up with was, use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. Has anybody ever heard that? And it sounds a little Dutchy to me. Use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. I'm sure that some of you grew up with this maxim too. The clearest example I can remember of this saying in action was the fierce determination with which my grandma Dana decided to wear out a pair of purple polyester pants she owned. Who knows where she got those pants, but she hated them. They were a startling color of purple. And the trouble was, they wore like iron. No amount of wearing them or washing them seemed to make them wear out in the slightest. As if to taunt my grandmother, they cheerfully emerged from the wash each time, ready for their next wearing. After a while, it became a competition between my grandmother and her purple pants. She took to wearing them all the time, just to see if she could defeat them. Gardening, walking, cleaning out the hen house, there was my grandmother in her purple pants. And in the end, the pants won. Because she could not wear them out and could not bear to throw them away, my grandmother simply admitted defeat. The pants were there to stay. They had earned a permanent place in her dresser. We have it within us to live life a different way. We are part of the earth, and it is part of us. I simply wish you a pair of purple pants, and I wish you the tenacity to see if you can wear them out. So be it. Amen.
Is the picture up? Picture of the Oconee Bell. Oh, right. Okay. I just wanted to say a quick word about the Oconee Bell song we're going to sing. It just seemed to have a lot of inferences, and you can look at it as good versus evil and decide who gets to win. But the Oconee Bell flower is rare. It's found in Appalachia, and it only grows in disturbed areas that have been eroded or bulldozed over.
Fire.
Or fire. Erosion, yeah. So this little white flower grows, and when it starts to grow, it multiplies, and it is toxic to other plants, so nothing else can grow. So it's just an interesting flower. We just found this song. It's done by Gillian Welch. So we're going to sing it for you. The fairest blue the mountain knows is not an iris or a wild rose, but the little flower of a child known as the brave Oconee Bell. Just a simple flower, so small and plain, with a pearly hue and a little known name. But the yellow bird sings when they see it bloom, for they know that spring is coming soon. Well, it makes its home mid the rocks and rills, where the snow lies deep on the windy hills. And it tells the world, why should I wait? This ice and snow's gonna melt away. And so I'll sing that yellow bird song, for the troubled times will soon be gone.
Hazrat Anaya Khan said, "There's one holy book, the sacred manuscript of nature, the only scripture which can enlighten the reader." And I know that we humans are a part of nature rather than apart from nature. And yet in my day-to-day life, and doing, gotta get this stuff done, I enter that ocean of forgetfulness, of the feeling of rootedness and connection with the earth that I am a part of. And then there are times when I spend an extended period of time in nature that I awaken from that forgetfulness and move into remembrance. I think back to the years I spent at the week-long Spiral Heart Camp in early August at Buffalo Gap outside of Capon Bridge, West Virginia. We gathered each year, held by that land, surrounded by mountains, experiencing the elements. We stayed in rustic cabins, ate our meals in an open-air dining hall, swam in the lake, did evening rituals in a huge open-air pavilion. When there was a thunderstorm, it was right there. And because it was early August, the crickets and cicadas were singing their late summer song. Back then, cell phones were not common, and even if they had been, there likely would have been no reception, no newspapers, radios, TVs, or internet. We gathered that week and formed heart connections that remain to this day. Time would do that stretchy thing, and a couple of days into the week, it would feel that I'd been there forever, that this time and space was all that existed. I would experience an unwinding and begin to connect with who I am, to connect with the earth, to feel my part in nature. And by the end of the week, I could barely remember what I did for a living, and re-entry to regular life was a bit challenging. One year, I almost didn't go. A few months earlier, I'd been in a car accident, and to this day, I'm still surprised that my car wasn't totaled. And it was in the body shop for well over a month. I suffered no broken bones and internal injuries, thank goodness, but after a CT scan, it was determined I'd suffered bruised abdominal muscles, and it was going to take a while to heal. Even with physical therapy, it took me longer to get around, and I had difficulty negotiating stairs and lifting things. And I started to become depressed, frustrated with my body. And I simply couldn't imagine how I would negotiate the terrain at Buffalo Gap. And so I sadly decided not to go. But 1 week before camp, I felt an overwhelming urge to be there. I didn't know how I would manage, but I knew I wanted to be in that place. And so I called the camp registrar to see if I could still come. And she said, of course, she would put me in a cabin downhill and have someone help me unload my things from the car. And so I went. And I have to say, it was so good to be around people I knew and loved, to be on the land at Buffalo Gap. I chose a morning class that was actually called The Path of Healing, and it was very simple. We would start out in the large open-air pavilion with gentle movement and stretching while someone played beautiful music on the violin. And as I moved and stretched with the music, I would moan and groan out loud, and that was okay. I allowed myself to move the way I needed to. I started to get back in touch with my body. And after we had done our stretching and movement, we were instructed to pick a spot and just be at that spot for a while until we were called back. So during that time each morning, I would go to the same tree and put my blanket on the ground and lay down on that blanket under that tree and listen to the late summer song of crickets and cicadas and allowed myself to be held by the earth and know that there was nowhere else I needed to be. And each day, I felt better bit by bit, body, mind, and soul. There were a lot of things that came out of that camp, events that happened at the end of that week when I went to make my way back home. But that is a story for another time. What I know is that the earth can heal us, and we can heal the earth. And it is really important for us to maintain that relationship with the earth and do whatever we can, no matter how big or small, to take care of the earth. I think of the chant, "The earth is our mother, we must take care of her. The earth is our mother, we must take care of her." So I invite you to make the time and find a place that you love and just plant yourself there and feel the connection to the earth and allow yourself to be. So this is the time in our service of generosity. Our Share the Plate recipient is the Interfaith Partners for the Chesapeake, which equips people of faith to honor, protect, and restore our shared watershed. The plates may now be passed.
I've stood on Cape Cornwall in the sun's evening glow, on Troon Hill at Newland to watch the fishing fleets go, watch the sheep wheels at Beaver as they spun around, and heard the men singing as they go underground, and no one will ever remove me from this land until the Lord calls me to sit at his hand, for this is my Eden. In the soft sand sand, I chased the maids there, all giggly and tan. I've stood on the cliff top in a westerly blow and heard the waves thunder on the rocks far below. And no one will ever remove me from this land until the Lord calls me to sit at his hand. For this is my Eden, and I'm not alone. For this is my Cornwall, this is my home. First thing in the morning on Chapel Corn Break, to gaze at the sillies in the blue far away. For this is my Cornwall, and I'll tell you why. Because I was born here, here I shall die, and no one will ever remove me from this land until the Lord calls me to sit at his hand. For this is my Eden, and I'm not alone. For this is my Cornwall, this is my home. For this is my Cornwall,
Thank you so much for the beautiful music. It's really a treat. We come to a thoughtful, prayerful time in our service, a time in which if you have come to this place with a joy on your hearts, I invite you to come forward and press it into a stone. Likewise, if you come carrying some heavy burden, pressing it into a stone may help you live this next week just a little bit better. I invite you now to come and offer your joys and sorrows through the ritual of placing a stone in the sand. We'll come up the center aisle and return by the side aisle. Please come forward. I invite you to sit for a few moments of silence with this gathered congregation, and I'll offer a prayer. Spirit of life, as the song said to us, this is our Eden. This is our Eden. And we know that it's as simple as that and as complex. This is our Eden simply means that we want and need what all other humans need. We want and need what plants and animals want and need, what birds and fish want and need. We know that you sustain life on this good green earth of ours, and that in some places it is easy to live, and in some places it is difficult. Remind us that we humans are the only ones who think we can or should go everywhere. The fish and the birds, the trees and the plants, long before we arrived on the scene, decided where was best for themselves. We are the only creatures who think we should go everywhere. Forgive us our blindness, forgive us our deaf ears, forgive us our insatiable appetites that tell us and convince us and cajole us and lie to us and say to us, it is yours, just take it, just take it. Instead, let us return to that garden that we were expelled from so very long ago. Return us to that place where all good things grow and where the trees are in abundance and offer fine fruit. Take us back to that garden where that tree of the knowledge of good and evil stands, and let us stand beneath it once more. Let us stand beneath it, understanding it maybe for the first time, because you see, you don't know the garden until you leave it. You can't return to it until you have seen the desolation that is elsewhere. Help us to help each other, to bring all things back to that state of harmony and balance, that state of oneness, those systems of nature that allow creatures to live and thrive and to reproduce and to be themselves wherever they are. Remind us that we are just a part of that, but that we are currently playing an oversized role in its destruction. Help us pull back. Give us courage, give us tenacity in small things and large ones. Help us get back to our Eden. Amen.
Good morning and welcome to Climate Justice Sunday. My name is Fred Foster Clark, and I came to this church more than 35 years ago. While not raised a UU, this is my third UU congregation, having started in Albany, New York, before moving on to Ithaca, New York. While Cindy and I have given generously of our time, talent, and treasure to UUCL over these many years in Lancaster, my understanding of stewardship continues to evolve. In reflecting on how to cast this testimonial, I decided to draw on the recent work of Robin Wall Kimmerer, who deftly merges indigenous sensibilities, eco-consciousness, lyrical writing, and scientific thinking in her recent volume, The Serviceberry: Abundance and Reciprocity in the Natural World. In this book, she explains the gift economy, in contrast to the traditional economy, which we've heard a bit about today, which is based on commodities and on a scarcity model. The gift economy, instead, is based on the notion that what is provided to us for living in this world, food, shelter, clean air and water, relationships, and so on, is based on an exchange of gifts from Mother Earth. By living in this framework and obeying the principles of gratitude and reciprocity, we find ourselves living in a world of abundance rather than scarcity. She illustrates this economic framework and its principles using the serviceberry, a native early flowering bush or small tree that yields berries prized by many birds and by our own Potawatomi people. The serviceberry arises from the gifts given to it: the berry seed, from which it grew, dropped by birds who had eaten berries from another tree; the maple leaves, fallen in the forest litter to be consumed by beetles and other digesters and turned to humus to support the growth of that berry seed; the nurturants of spring rains and the sun. In turn, the serviceberry returns its own gifts to the world by producing flowers to support the first pollinators in spring, taking in CO2 and producing oxygen, and storing the sun's energy through photosynthesis to provide sweet berries to feed birds, humans, and other animals. And when we humans enjoy the berries, we give thanks and pass on the gift by baking a serviceberry pie for our neighbors, or working locally to protect clean air and water and to preserve the land upon which serviceberries may continue to grow. This is gratitude and reciprocity. This is the independent web of all existence of which we are a part. And if we learn to take the gifts that are offered in sustainable quantities and share the rest, all can benefit from the abundance of the world while living in harmony with nature. And there's another side benefit to the gift economy. Along with gratitude and reciprocity comes relationships and the strengthening of communities. So how does all this tie in with UUCL and stewardship? As Kimmerer states, and I quote, "In a gift economy, wealth is understood as having enough to share, and the practice for dealing with abundance is to give it away. In fact, status is determined not by how much one accumulates, but by how much one gives away." She goes on to say, and again I quote, "A gift economy nurtures the community bonds that enhance mutual well-being." So as we think of stewardship and pledging, we need to consider our own gifts of time, talent, and treasure, and think about how much can be shared with the community that helps sustain us right here at UUCL. Like the serviceberry, we are the recipients of many gifts, and in the spirit of reciprocity, we share these gifts to build community. Thank you. And before I leave the podium, I'm going to shift gears and roles now. As a member of the UUCL Environmental Justice Team and the larger Justice Council of which it's a part, I'd like to introduce two people today who are here, and they are from our March and April Share the Plate program, the Interfaith Partners for the Chesapeake. Mike Hudson is our local outreach coordinator, and his predecessor in that role, and now outreach director, is Bonnie Sorak. Would you stand up just so people can identify you? On behalf of IPC, the Interfaith Partners for the Chesapeake, they're appreciative of the generosity of this congregation in supporting their efforts to bring faith communities together to create a healthier Chesapeake Bay watershed and a better future for all of us. We also welcome guests today from the PA Interfaith Power and Light and Regen All. All our guests will be there to greet you downstairs after the service. There will be tables throughout the Emerson Hall for you to greet them, hear their messages, find out a little bit more about their own knowledge that they can share with you and their commitment to environment and climate justice. Thank you very much.
Please join with me in the affirmation of faith that's found in the front of your gray hymnal. We will be saying it first in English and then in Spanish. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Amor et espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio de su ofrenda. Este es nuestro compacto, el convivir unos en paz, el buscar la verdad y amor, y ayudarnos unos a los otros. So I call your attention to the announcements that are printed on our bulletin. Today we have an extended postlude of wonderful music, and so we invite you to stay for that and then go downstairs for coffee and what I understand are extensive treats and special refreshments. In the spirit of climate justice, you will find tables where UUCL members and special guests will share opportunities to act for a better world. And I will call up Leslie Laird to have a brief announcement about the UUCL service auction.
I brought along my elephant because the circus is coming to town next Saturday night. And I also want to start by telling you all that I'm the one sending you all of the annoying emails and text messages, so you just blame me. But if you want to stop receiving them, just let me know, or on the text messages, just type in stop. Young people know to do that, us more seasoned folks don't often know that. But so next Saturday, with the It's a Circus auction will be held here at UUCL downstairs from 4 to 7 p.m. It is our largest fundraiser for the year. And for those of you who are new, let me tell you, we have so much fun. It's really, really amazing. Everyone is invited, but you do need a ticket in order to come. And the ticket not only gets you into the event where there'll be circus-themed food and carnival time, and there'll be music and dancing, but it also allows you to bid on our online website. So just two more things. We are once again running the Best Pet contest. So if you have a wonderful pet, be it a cat, a dog, a turtle, a pet rock, whatever, a bird, you name it, you can post your pet for free, and people will vote on the best pet. So Ivana Morris and I will be downstairs at coffee hour to help people buy tickets or post donations or talk to you about any questions that you may have. And for next Saturday, if anybody is willing to give us an hour of volunteer time, we also have a list. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie, and we look forward to seeing all of you at the auction. Let us sing again. We're going to turn in the gray hymnal to number 170, stand and sing, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People," of course, the wonderful Holly Near song. Please rise as you are able, number 170.
This song is going to start out gently with just the strings, but then we want to get the angry side of it. So we have some percussion instruments. Once Craig starts on the drum in the fourth verse, we'd like to hear you along with us.
All right, let's go. Number 170. You've got it. Now look up a little bit.
We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are the band of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are the band of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are getting straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are getting straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
A gentle verse now. Go nice and gentle.
We are gentle and free people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gentle and free people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
Go forth from this place to love and care for the earth. Go in peace and go in love, my friends. Please be seated for the postlude or make your way down to coffee hour.
Oh, no, well, yeah. John, Ryan, right, and then Dennis Murphy. Okay, go.
was just thinking about Tell Me Ma. That's one of my favorites. What key? I don't want to get in trouble for keeping people from coffee house, so or coffee hour. So if any. Let's keep it upbeat. Yeah. Thank you. Oh. No drinking songs before noon. What key are you in? This one might raise up. Well, okay.